Hey guys, got a new video for you. It's been a long time. I haven't really been working on my arcades a lot. Just a little bit here and there. A few things that I've done to them. Nothing spectacular. Nothing really to warrant a video. But I do plan on having a couple more arcade videos coming here relatively soon. I have a few things lined up for that. And then I was probably going to put together a MAME machine here eventually, just so I have one kind of main arcade machine to play. In the meantime, the video I'm going to make tonight is some Dreamcast modding. Nothing crazy. I started out with a very yellowed Dreamcast, and if you've heard of retrobriting, I started out by retrobriting my entire case. So what that involves is breaking the Dreamcast completely down and just taking the plastic parts out of it, your case, your power buttons, all that, and you put peroxide on them, and then you put them under a UV light and let that work, and it will it'll pull that yellowing out of the Dreamcast. And I'll show you some pictures. I don't really have any video of me doing it. I'll show you the process of it in another video. I'm going to make a dedicated video to retrobriting, but what I did in this video is I'll show you some pictures of the Dreamcast before, and then a middle picture, and then I actually did it again because of how yellow it was. It was really almost orange. And I've got another Dreamcast here I'll be doing it to eventually, and that's the one I'll put the video together for you. But what I'm going to do tonight for this video, just to kind of get me back into the swing of things, is I'm going to replace the internal battery on the Dreamcast and put a 2032 battery holder in there, and then I'll put a ML2032 battery in that, a rechargeable battery. So that is right here, and there's the battery holder, and the battery, you'll get an update or a clear view of that eventually. I'm going to replace the LED on the Dreamcast because I'm not a big fan of the orange Dreamcast light. I never have been. And I've got some blue LEDs that I ordered a long time ago that I use, and I'm going to install that, and then I'm going to put the Dreamcast all back together. Right now it's completely torn down. It's in pieces, so I'll put it back together so you guys can see exactly how you put a Dreamcast back together after you've retrobrited it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get going on that right now. Alright guys, so here is our Dreamcast controller board. Pretty standard Dreamcast controller board. There's nothing special about that. It's not been touched anyway. It works fine. I know there is a mod for the fuse on here. I guess these fuses go sometimes, but I've never had one go, so I'm not really going to do that mod. It's not really that important to me. I've never had any experience with it. If I do run into the future, I'll pull one of these out and put that mod in. It's really easy to do, and basically that fuse, I guess, pops, and then or maybe no, it's this fuse over here that pops, and your controller ports stop working. I've never had that problem. So there's a battery I'm going to be replacing right there. That is the original Dreamcast battery. It's an ML20 2020 or something like that. I can't really remember. But they die. You know, this machine's 20 years old at this point. So, and this is my original Dreamcast that I bought, and it was not on release. It was shortly after release. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some solder out here. I've got a new little soldering station deal there that I've been using. 3D printed one. I got a 3D printer. So we're gonna add a little solder to that battery. Right here, I'll zoom in so you guys can get a better look, and we'll just add a little bit of solder here to these pins, and that just makes it so I can suck up the solder a little bit easier. I don't think the Dreamcast had lead-free solder. I'm pretty sure it's leaded solder, but nonetheless, it just makes things a little bit easier to get the solder sucker in there and pull that solder out. So we'll pull the solder out here. 1, 2, 3 legs. Got solder out. Old battery pops right out. Okay, now we'll take our new fuse holder. Fuse holder has the same configuration as the original Dreamcast battery, so we'll get in here and we'll just kind of, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get this started. So we'll just kind of rest the whole board on there just so I can get a pin in there. You get one of these pins soldered, and once I throw a little bit of solder on there, then it's a little bit easier to work. Okay. Okay, there we go. We got the pin in there. And now we can just kind of do our work a little bit easier here. You guys are pretty much out of frame. Here, move it over a little bit. Okay. Just a little bit of solder there. A little bit of solder there. And press down and get that first point in a little bit deeper. Okay. All right, so there's our first mod. That was a tough one. Let's put the little battery holder in there, and you can order these on Amazon or eBay, and they're relatively simple. They're just called the 2032 battery holder, and they got a configuration like that. They've got 2 pins and then a third kind of in a triangle there. So that battery's dead. We'll kill that. And we got our little battery holder in here. And positive is on the top, so we'll put our positive there, put our battery in, and bam, one mod done. Okay, easy enough. Now we'll take that LED out. The LED I'm going to take out is right in the middle of the board there. Whoop, right in the middle of the board. I'll see that there. That LED, and yeah, I'm going to be honest and say I don't remember which one's positive, which one's negative. Let's see. You can tell just by looking at the board. The ground plane is on the outside, I believe. Let's just take another look. Yeah, my ground plane's all over the outside. So it'd be, if you're looking at it with the front, the controller ports facing you, it would be the right side is your negative. The left side is going to be your positive. Okay, so again, move that over a little bit. Just going to add a little solder to both points. With these big pads, I probably don't need to, but I will anyway. Okay, a little solder to both points. Take our solder sucker and work it in there. And leg was bent a little bit on that one. Okay. And come on. Get out of there, old LED. There. Okay. Got our old LED out. Now I'm going to zoom out here. You guys kind of got the idea what I'm doing. All right, so replacement LED is here. And yeah, I don't remember the voltage. I'll put it in the comments description on what the voltage you should have. Whenever you're installing LEDs, your longer leg is going to be your positive. Same thing applies to capacitors. So positive on the left, negative on the right. Yep, that's right. And we'll just bend one of the legs over a little bit here, just to kind of hold the LED in place. Then get in here with a little solder. Hit one leg, let it sit a little bit. And son of a bitch. Lifted that pad. lifted that pad right up. Let's take a look at that. Ouch, that was stupid. Let's see. The pad doesn't look too bad. Let's see. If I want to run a wire, we could just go all the way down to that leg right there, if I wanted to. I don't know, it doesn't look that bad to me. We're going to run with it. I think it's fine. I need to be a little bit more gentle this time, though. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna solder the other leg first. Okay. Yeah, that one's fine. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll be okay. Okay. That almost sucked. All right, now we're gonna getting some feedback voltage from the battery here, I think. There's something I'm hitting. Oh, I'm hitting. Huh, funny. Getting power from the battery. Kind of funny. Okay. Let's trim our leads here. Okay. Leads are gone. Now, that's done. That is all the actual soldering work I have to do. Get our just going to put our soldering equipment away now. All right. Now let's start reassembling our Dreamcast. So here we've got our bottom case, and I got the stickers and everything for the bottom case here, but I'm going to apply some new adhesive to those. They're getting a little runny. Okay, and that cage goes on the very bottom, and it should go like that, like that. Yeah, like that. Okay. Okay. Oh, our little Dreamcast badge. We got to put that on. Let's get our little Dreamcast badge. Put it right back on there. You know, I've been looking for replacement Dreamcast badges because I really like the European blue swirl on their Dreamcasts. But I found one seller on eBay that doesn't sell them anymore. And that's it. I can't find replacement badges like this anymore. And he made cool ones. He had like a black background with a blue swirl, or a black background with an orange swirl. So if anybody knows where I can get a Dreamcast decal reproduction, I'd love to hear it. All right, now we'll put our motherboard in, and honestly, I didn't even clean this up very much. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna run with it. And I left all the screws in right where they belong, just to make my life a little bit easier. Now, I'm not, an expert at reassembling these. I've only done a couple of them, but I love the Dreamcast. Dreamcast is by far one of my favorite systems. I think it was way ahead of its time. And, I was one of the guys playing Quake on it back in the day. I mean, we had PCs that could play Quake, but to play Quake on a console over, a lot of the guys had the broadband adapter, which I think I sold mine back when there were some money. But to be playing Quake 3 Arena on a console was just cool. I mean, it was cool. It was so cool. And it was, like I say, this was 1999, so it was, 1999 or 2000. It was way ahead of its time. We're just going to screw all our motherboard screws back in here. The Dreamcast is a relatively easy system to disassemble. There's very little to it. I would say it's like Master System difficulty, maybe. And the Master System's a really easy console to disassemble and reassemble. Okay, we've got our motherboard back in. It's all screwed down, mounted. Now I think we'll do our GD-ROM. And the GD-ROM's got a little plug that plugs in right there. And it's got kind of screw holes that kind of line up for it to make things a little bit clearer. And there should be like 1, 2, 3 screws for that. Yeah. And I don't think, we'll check the power supply and make sure the power supply is not one of those screws. It's not. Okay. So, and you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol here and clean off, just very gently clean off the laser on this. I know the laser still worked on it when I took it apart. Again, this is 99% alcohol. This is a 20-year-old system, and I've really never done any sort of repairs to it. Never had to. It's always just worked. And it's not like I didn't play it. I played a ton of games on this thing. It was just a workhorse. Jet grind radio or jet set radio, whatever you want to call it. I think it was jet grind radio in the States and everywhere else. It was jet grind radio, I think. Let's clean off the pad here for the motor. Looks good. Okay, I would say that's pretty good. Resident Evil Code Veronica, I love that game. I thought that was just amazing. I hated Resident Evil 3. I thought it was such a terrible game. And then, my faith in Capcom was completely restored when Code Veronica came out. Okay, so it's been a while since I disassembled this Dreamcast. The retrobriting process took quite a few days. But I have an unmolested Dreamcast here, and I'm going to take a quick peek at. This one I've modded, quite a while ago. Just so I can see which screws are in here for the GD-ROM. I'm pretty sure it's just the regular gold ones. Yep, that one is. Make sure there's not longer ones. Pretty sure they're not. Yep, that one's normal. And yeah, that one's normal too. Okay. That's easy enough. Okay, we'll take our donor Dreamcast there and put it off to the side. And maybe I might have did a cap kit on that power supply. No, I didn't. I don't think so. Anyways, so it should be these two and like one of those. Yeah, Code Veronica. I played a lot of Code Veronica. I thought that was a great game. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. God, we played a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So much Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And then, there was Capcom vs. SNK. Garu, Mark of the Wolves. I mean, all these amazing games for the Dreamcast. Mars Matrix, like I said, Quake 3. Just a ton of different Dreamcast games. Shenmue. Shenmue. Okay, so we got that in. We got the GD-ROM in, bolted down. We got to put our little plastic deal in here because I'm not going to put a GDMU or anything in this one. I'll probably do that on the next Dreamcast. I Retrobrite on video. This is kind of my OG original. I'm going to keep this one, just about as plain as can be, except for the battery holder and the light, which I don't think is that dramatic of a mod. Let's see. Which order should I do it in? I think power supply first. Let's find out. Okay, we'll get our power supply in. Okay. Power supply is in. I think that's these two gold ones. Take a look at our donor again. Donor doesn't even have power. Doesn't even have screws in the power supply. I don't know what I did with them. I'm sure they're around here somewhere. But we'll throw these in here. I'm pretty sure it's these two. It is. Yep, it's these two. Okay, so there we got our power supply. I got a little plastic strip there. We can do our power switch. And I believe the power switch goes like that. If I remember correctly, does it go like that? I think it does. Let's keep the cover off this one. Yeah, it does. Okay. And then you get to kind of route this power supply cable underneath. I probably should have done that first. Would have made life easier. You know what? I'm just going to pop the power supply off. Okay, so there's a note for you. Do the power supply cable before you put the power supply in. Make your life easier. Route it. Let's go underneath here, then up like that, and put you down. Yeah, it's gotta go like that. Gotta go like that. And put you in here, line you up, plug you down, clip, screws. Okay. Okay. There's that. Now it's starting to look like a Dreamcast again. Okay, now we can do the oh no. Oh no, I'm pretty sure this case for the controller ports goes underneath the motherboard. Oh, I'm pretty sure I've done this before. I feel like I've done this before where it goes underneath the motherboard. Oh, I'm pretty sure it does. Oh, it totally does. It goes underneath the motherboard. Okay, that's okay. I'm pretty sure I can pull. There, I got it in. That I forgot to put on. And that almost, cooked a goddamn solder pad on a LED of all things. Anyways, it doesn't look bad. You do have to solder on to like a video chip, I believe it is, which is quite a few solder points. But I don't know, that didn't look bad. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna end up doing it just because, I'm that kind of person that'll just sit there and eat away at me. But for right now, I'm gonna pretend like I'm not going to because it's too expensive. But it'll end up happening. Okay. GDMU. I do have a GDMU on another Dreamcast that I restored. And, I know there's the mode out there now, which is another ODE. So optical drive emulator is what that stands for. And basically that just lets you replace the GD-ROM. You pull this out, this whole assembly, you pop that out, and then you put this optical drive emulator in its place. And that just, it's exactly what it says. It emulates your optical drive. You put a bunch of games on an SD card or SSD, and you can play the games off of there instead of using your GD-ROM, which is a good thing, I think, in the long run, as far as the Dreamcast community goes. If you're a big Dreamcast person, I think a lot of the people that were big arcade people were Dreamcast people because, Sega, they put so many of their arcade games on the Dreamcast. But a lot of these GDMUs are going the way of the dodo. They're not surviving. They're wearing themselves out. And if you listen to them, they sound like garbage. Every one of them sounds like they're dying. And a lot of them have sounded that way since they, since their box was open. But there is a lot of them out there dying. And the Dreamcast was let's be honest, the Dreamcast was a very easy system to burn CDs for. You'd burn the CD, and in the beginning there was a boot disc or whatever that you'd burn on a CD, and then you'd burn the game, and you could play games on your Dreamcast that were not legitimate. They were copies you'd download off the internet. Granted, you'd spend days downloading these games, but you could download them and play them without paying for them. And that was probably one of the contributors to the Dreamcast dying an early death and Sega becoming just a software company. But I always heard that was harder on the GD-ROMs. Okay, so here, I'm going to show you something. So this cable goes right here, and it's just a push-in cable. There's nothing special about it. You just push it in. And then there's 4 screws you got to put in, and then your fan is connected right to that board. And you install your fan like that. Yeah, like that. So we'll get that in there. Make sure you connect this board, your controller board. I've left this disconnected so many times when doing these. Because I do a lot of the batteries. The batteries are easy enough to do. And then you just forget to do the stupid cable. You just get done and you're just like, doo-doo-doo. All right, I'll grab a power cord here and plug this thing in and make sure that we didn't cook anything here once I get everything screwed down, which I should probably do before screwing everything down, but I'd like to think I know what I'm doing by now. It's the first mistake, and this is the first screwdriver you need to have a smaller screwdriver, and this is the fan screws. So there are some smaller screws and everything else. So you gotta have a smaller screwdriver for them. Okay. All right, let's grab a power cable here. Let's see if any sparks out anything here quick. And let's cross our fingers. Lights on. There. Door's closed. Everything works still. It's a good sign. All right, cool. Let's get all that off to the side. The base, we'll call it the base, is done. Everything that can be installed is installed. It's ready to go. Okay. Now we'll do the top cover. So we'll put our little lens for our LEDs in first. I'm just going to use this top cover as a guide. Words guide. And the hinge is kind of tricky, so get that in there. Get that in there. It's our little light reflector, so you get your little cute Dreamcast thing up there. Buttons. Let's put our power button in. We can just do that. Power button goes right there. Power button. Okay. And then our little felt deal, we'll put that in. I usually apply a little glue to that just to hold it back down, but we'll see. I'm probably going to end up opening this back up and doing something to it. But right now, we'll just leave it alone. All right, now comes the lid, which is kind of tricky. There's a little piece here. A lot of times when people break the lids, this is the piece that gets broken, this little white piece here. They crack that little tip off there. You got to find a way. I think there's an STL out there for a 3D print of this piece. So you just print a new one. That'll fix it right up. Big fan of that. I think that's brilliant. The 3D printer, there's a lot of stuff out there like VMU caps and stuff like that you can 3D print, and different parts for systems that you can 3D print. That just makes the whole restoring old consoles just a little bit nicer. You don't have to worry about killing a system just because you're missing a little piece of plastic, or paying $40 on eBay for a little piece of plastic, because people can price gouge for it. All right, so now we do the spring and the little black piece here, and that gear matches up with that, and then the spring, I gotta remember how this goes. I think it goes the other way, like that. Yeah, the spring goes like that, and then it clips on underneath to right there. Yeah, okay, so the spring, it goes on like that, so you can bed it in this little piece, goes in that little, well, I don't know how to explain it. It goes in that little deal there. There we go, like a little hole underneath the gear. You see that little hole underneath the gear right there? Whatever, I can't do it very well. Goes right there. And so you got to kind of finagle it in to where you get that kind of inserted, and then while it's still in there, you got to kind of get it down into its hole like that, and then wiggle it in and press it down, and then hold it down and put your screws in. It's not an easy little dance to do. And this is, one of those many, many times that you always wished that you had an extra set of hands. There we go. Now we're cooking. Get in there. Get in there. Hold that down for me. Thank you. Okay, so that's in. Lost my bit. Okay, that's in. Bit stayed where it belonged that time. I don't think I need that anymore. Okay. Oh, it works still. All right, we'll get that there. And then we'll put our little clip on here. And so, put our open button in. Oop. Well, these are just press-in buttons. Real easy to take in and take out. There's just two little clips on there, and then it goes like, yeah, shit, I did need that donor piece still. Yeah, like that. I got it right. Yeah, like that. Yeah, and then it holds the lid down, just like that. And then you take your two little screws here with the washers on them, and you screw those in so they still allow that thing to move. That little plate there. Cool. Spring. Put your spring on. Open. There you go. That's it, man. That's the whole Dreamcast installation right there. There is no more to it. Oh Jesus, that's the old bottom cover. Okay. All right. Put that in. Power button still works. Flip it around. We'll install our screws. We've got one here that's underneath the modem. And then one in each one of the corners. And you're done. Retrobrite Dreamcast, the original Dreamcast, my very first Dreamcast that I loved very much and spent years playing. And, just an idea of how well Retrobrite works. This entire Dreamcast looked like that, like the front of this one, this yellow. It was this bad. The entire thing was. It looked terrible. I mean, it looked terrible. The whole thing looked like that. I don't know if I'd left it on my porch or something when I played games on my porch. I have no idea, but it looked terrible. Now it looks, put the modem in. I would say it looks pretty good. I know the lighting's not the best, but I'm very happy with that. That is a good looking Dreamcast. Yeah, that's the video, boys. That, I know it is not the most exciting video I've ever done, but I'm a big fan of the Dreamcast. I think it deserves as much attention as possible. Restoring one so it looks like this makes me very happy. And I know Retrobrite's not a permanent solution. A lot of guys say it comes back, but I mean, even if that's the case, that looks a hell of a lot better than that. I mean, it looks a lot better, no matter what. Even if I have to do it again, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not, they do make new shells that are, kind of expensive. I haven't gotten one. I'm been thinking about it to get one of the, maybe put a new shell on that one, or maybe another Dreamcast that I come across. I come across those things quite a bit. People don't really appreciate them. They sell them pretty cheap. So that's it. That's the video. Thank you for watching. I'll have some more videos coming. I'm just kind of getting back into the groove of things. So happy COVID. Stay healthy. Wear your mask. Don't be a dumbass. Even if you don't believe in it, just, better safe than sorry. All right. Later.